I think that's a good point. People are going to commit suicide, and I'm not stopping them. I'm not stopping the people whose circumstances are so bad as your archetype imply.
Well, I think, of course, you're stopping them because you're obviously endorsing a system that will give them no latitude. They will provide no help to commit suicide. They will only provide help in re-indoctrinating and reconditioning the human being. All right? That's the only help you're offering. All right? So the system's never going to... like I said, the society will not help a person actualize their interest. It's only going to help society actualize its interest, and its interest is based on dogma and propaganda. That's all that crap is. This love life crap is just that. It is dogma, it's propaganda, it's presumption. It hasn't been articulated. No one's put the argument on the table and explained exactly what the fuck, what's the logical equation here? What the hell are you accomplishing by living?
I'm not going to force people to live, and I'm not implying that we do. In fact, there may be perfectly valid reasons to...
Well, you're embracing and endorsing a system that has no other option built into it. Okay? It's do it their way or no way.
Suicide is an option for, let's say, the terminally ill that are suffering.
Yeah, so why is it your judgment? So that's another one of the great things. Is like you will apply your standards and say when it is acceptable for somebody to contemplate suicide. But it has to be based on your standards of when life means something. So for you, maybe both your hands have to be amputated. And then you'll say, okay, you have an excuse. Or maybe for you, yes, it's only terminal illness. There's nothing else. No other human condition is an acceptable excuse to say, fuck this, okay? I mean, why is your judgment superior to the fucking individual's judgment?
Eventually, I'm not suggesting that suicide be criminalized either. But what's the alternative?
Yeah, well, it's not even about criminalization. Again, it's about respecting individuals and doing the one legitimate thing society has. It only has one legitimate intervention, and that one legitimate intervention is to make sure the individual isn't delusional. So until you have a definition of what fucking delusional means, you really have no right to impose this draconian do it our way or no way bullshit.
Graceful exit. What would you like instead of those hotlines or help centers? What do you suggest for people who want to commit suicide but otherwise might have not given the possibility of a way out from what's causing their emotional distress?
Yeah, I would suggest 10 questions, okay? Do you realize the world is round? Do you believe in reptilians? I mean, a couple of them will be giveaways, and you can say, okay, this is somebody we got to talk to some more. But if they can pass the 10 questions, well, then I'd say, well, what can we do for you? Okay, if we'd like, we can help you talk to your family and get them to understand why you need to do this, and we can do some other things to make it possible for you to have a more graceful exit. That's what it's about. It's about getting the fuck out of here easy, all right? Because we don't ask to be here. I mean, again, we don't ask to need, we don't ask to fear. All right, it's imposed on us by being injected into this fucking fun park that you see it as. This benign thing you call life. It's not benign. It's fucking malignant to consciousness. It destroys it every fucking day.
Well, for people who do choose against suicide and find a way out of despair and go on living, relatively happy lives, good for them, I say.
Yeah, exactly. Good for them. I mean, look, we see it. People will live under any circumstance. There's people living in absolute shit around the world. Shit where you would say, I would not live that life. Okay, but they're doing it. And what, are you going to applaud that? So you're going to applaud the human condition in that circumstance? To me, it horrifies me. The prospect that I can't even get myself out of this shit by killing myself. I mean, yeah, I kill myself, big fucking deal. Consciousness is still here. The game is still in motion. The victims are still being created. So what have I accomplished, theoretically, philosophically? Absolutely fucking nothing, because there's no fucking escape, okay? My seat, if I eject myself from the seat, the system will put some new fucker in the goddamn seat, and they will live some pitiful, disgusting, horrific, insulting to consciousness existence.
Get help. After all, we can both agree that we have a responsibility to these sorts of humane ideals. And that's why when someone commits suicide, I feel bad about it.
Yeah, well, that's your subjective, or not even that. I mean, it's your philosophy somehow sees that as somehow a harm. Okay, death is a harm. Where, from my philosophical perception, the suffering is the harm. Okay, death is irrelevant. Okay, in the equation, really, it's quite fucking irrelevant. All right. I mean, if we have 7 billion people and they all live and they all die at 20 years old, or you have 7 billion people and they all die at 80 years old, what the fuck's the difference? Okay. I mean, there's still the same amount of consciousness existing at the same amount of through each moment through time. So what the fuck's the difference? There is no fucking difference. Death is the meaningless part of this equation. The goddamn meaningful part of this equation is the suffering, is the state of conscious being, is what is experiencing. And you're the one sitting there saying, well, you know, you have this horrific standard by my standards of imperfection that should be accepted as the human condition. And I'm saying, fuck that. The only way the human condition gets better is people have to say, no, this is unacceptable.
Can't help but wonder if the circumstances could have been altered so that they wouldn't have been driven to suicide. But what's the bigger issue here? After all I've said and done, it would be disingenuous for me to say, to imply that all is reclamated. Aren't I just perpetuating the suffering? What's the point of saving them from suicide? After all, they only have an inevitable death to look for sometime down the line, and maybe it's from some horrible disease like cancer. What's the point?
Exactly, especially, and add the other factor. What's the point if we're going to throw another victim in the same damn seat again? All right, so we're just gonna perpetuate the madness.
Isn't our life just the next competitor in this stage of competition and reproduction? Well, fearing sex is one answer.
Yeah, well, that was what the guy pointed out in the video that you ridiculed. Is that, yeah, the only thing really keeping people here is fear and goddamn desire. Native, naturally imposed desire, not desire that comes from the intellect down. It comes from the penis up.
It's not everything, but that's a start. I also like Camus' answer. Why the hell does Sisyphus keep rolling up that stone up the hill when he knows?
Oh, well, this Sisyphus Camus crap is getting tired. Come on.
He's just destined to do it over and over again. Sisyphus is the ultimate absurd hero. For there's not death at the end of his struggle. All is not chaos. The experience of the absurd is proof of this man's uniqueness and the foundation of his dignity and freedom. And on page 87 he says, all that...
Wow, come on, there's no freedom, and celebrating the ludicrous is kind of imbecilic.
Remains is a fate whose outcome alone is fatal. Outside of that single fatality of death, everything, joy or happiness, is liberty.
That doesn't make any sense at all. Liberty. What the fuck? Joy and happiness, everything is liberty. That's just... What a crock of shit. How can you sit there and say that as if it means something? That is absolute motherfucking babble.
Remains, of which man is the sole master. What bound him was the illusion of another world. The outcome of his thought, ceasing to be renunciatory, flowers in images. It frolics in myths, to be sure, but myths with no other depth than that of human suffering, and like it, inexhaustible. Not that
yeah, well, why? You just might as well just say, well, life's all a dream or something. I mean, you might. I mean, well, let's just wallow in the poetry again. We're right back in the fucking submarine, in the cesspool, and like it's all you're saying is, look at the pretty colors. You know, that's how deep that is.
Divine fable that amuses and blinds, but the terrestrial face, gesture, and drama in which are summed up a difficult wisdom and an ephemeral passion. So basically he's saying you look at the hopelessness of death, give it a nice fuck you, and rebel against it.
Oh, yes, rebel against it. Yes. When you look in the mirror, see the cockroach, and, well, just, put some makeup on. Come on. What a pile of shit.
You shouldn't commit suicide because it harms people you love. You shouldn't commit...
And why? Because it's their imposing psychology. Them saying, no, you can't leave because I need you. Okay, I feed off of you. So you somehow have a responsibility to continue to feed me, even though you didn't ask to be here. Come on, bullshit. It's a shitty contract. And it's a shitty reason for somebody to fucking live. Oh, well, do it for that guy. Come on.